Well, he's in the last year of his contract. It's due to pay him about $7 million. Would like a new deal. Also coming off a serious injury at the end of last year. Him and the Patriots have talked. We'll see whether they can figure out something that would keep him any happier. But again, he was not at the mandatory minicamp in June. Now the question is whether or not he will be at training camp once it opens here in the next week. And Stephon Gilmore is not the only veteran looking for a new contract. Your former Jet safety Jamal Adams also would like a new deal. There had been some conversations with the Seahawks. They had not been close to a new deal. We'll see whether they could get one, figure it out. He is entering the final year of his contract with the Seahawks. And again, Seattle gave up an awful lot to the Jets to go get him. They'll want to keep him there long term, but he wants big dollars. And we talked earlier in the show about Saquon Barkley, the Giants running back who's coming off that big-time knee injury, and whether or not he'll be ready to start the season. He had said we'll see, but the fact of the matter is the Giants are going to be careful with him. Bring him along slowly. There's no need to rush him through training camp. The real test is in September against the Denver Broncos, not in training camp practices, and so the Giants will proceed with care and caution with Saquon this summer with the eye on the regular season opener against the Broncos.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on them. There's a lot of pressure on him under these circumstances. Let's play it for everybody who didn't see it. This was what Saquon Barkley said when he was asked about whether or not he expects to be ready for the start of the year.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. Just taking it day by day and just listen to my body. And whenever I'm able to get out there, make sure that I'm 110%. Not just for the safety and healthy of myself, my well-being, but just so I can go out there and compete at a high level and show the world to Saquon.
I don't know. It's not exactly the answer that you're looking for. But let's sit back and just take a look at this team in general, because they're a very interesting team in a division where there is so much fluctuation. Mike Tannenbaum, how would you describe what is at stake for the New York Football Giants this season?
It's a transformational year for both their GM, Dave Gettleman, and their quarterback, Daniel Jones. And specifically as it relates to Jones, Greeny, they have done everything to make him successful that a young quarterback could want. Went out and aggressively signed Kenny Galladay, drafted Kadarius Toney out of Florida in the first round, paired with guys like Evan Ingram, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, obviously with hopefully a healthy Saquon Barkley. He has everything he needs, including a really good offensive line. So we're going to know a lot more about Daniel Jones. A month from now, a month into the season, we may say, hey, he's the best quarterback in the NFC East, or they may be saying, you know what? As the sixth pick, he was overdrafted, and we have a big question mark at quarterback. So the first 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to know a lot more about Daniel Jones than we know about him today.
And that feels important, Jeff. Would you describe this as a make-or-break season for a guy who, as we say, 3 years ago was the sixth pick in the draft? Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about Daniel Jones. This is the key to the Giants football season. The bottom line is he's had 38 touchdowns and 39 turnovers in his career. You cannot win in the NFL losing the turnover battle. It just does not happen. It is the single most determining factor in NFL football games is who wins the turnover battle. And when you have a quarterback who drops on the ground, has no quarterback awareness in the pocket, throws bad balls late when he is scrambling around, all of those things lead to losses. Not just bad quarterback play, but losses for the team. So as you're hearing what Mike T said, I'm telling you, this whole thing, whether Barkley's healthy, they've done everything they can do to help Daniel Jones. He has to perform for the Giants to do anything. I am a little bit surprised, though, about the Gettleman and Daniel Jones conversation that Mike T kind of started on. Just them being tied together to me isn't necessarily, the way I see it. I think he's done a whole lot to help him. I would be surprised if that was the end all be all, irrespective of what Daniel Jones does.
Well, let's get Shefty's sense of it, because in and around New York, I think there is a feeling that this is a make-or-break year for the quarterback and for the general manager. Does that seem like a reasonable way to look at it at this point in time, Shefty?
Well, it certainly sounds like the Giants are more confident in Daniel Jones than their fans are. And obviously, Daniel Jones has to prove something this season and has to play better. And keep in mind, they took Daniel Jones and then the next year took Andrew Thomas in a year where maybe they could have considered Justin Herbert, who they loved the year before in the draft, but he decided to stay in school. And then he comes out the next year, and the Giants have the 4th overall pick. and it would have been a little bit contradictory, but not unprecedented, to go quarterback in successive first rounds. They obviously didn't do that. They went with the offensive tackle, but it's interesting to think, what if they had gone Justin Herbert right then and then gone ahead and traded Daniel Jones? They could have done that as well. Obviously, we heard the Browns, when they had the number 1 and number 4 picks, they actually gave consideration to going 2 quarterbacks at 1 and 4 to lock in that position. So it's come up before, didn't happen here, and the Giants obviously now need Daniel Jones to be better and more consistent than he's been in the first couple of years, but they like the quarterback, the good young quarterback that they have.
Well, Herbert being in that conversation is interesting. Of course, the year they took Barkley, they could have taken Sam Darnold, they could have taken Josh Allen, they could have taken Lamar Jackson, all of whom wound up going in the first round that season. So there are a lot of quarterback questions. Maybe Daniel Jones will wind up being the answer. We'll probably find out this year. Meanwhile, we know Tom Brady has been the answer essentially forever. Coming up, Tampa Tom set to do something today that he hasn't done in 16 years. We'll tell you what that is next.